With Kaido's defeat, fans of One Piece are speculating over just who may be able to challenge Luffy at this point. There are several prominent villains in play that could provide a strong fight. We know Fleet Admiral Sasasuke is an impressive physical threat, thanks to his Magu Magu no Mi. The mysterious Imu may also prove to be a contender. While we have yet to see them fight in person, anyone who can level an entire kingdom should be taken seriously. One figure, however, stands above them both. He is Luffy's antithesis, the one with powers that directly mirror Gear 5th. He was introduced early in the story and has risen to prominence and power just as Luffy has. This man has been fighting powerful enemies for years now, and he has only grown stronger over time. Imu and Sakazuki have an orbital death ray and the might of the Marines backing them up respectively. Either one of them could end up being our final antagonist. But if you're looking for a hyped up, exciting brawl, it is not even a contest. There is no character in One Piece better equipped to fight Luffy than Marshal D. Teach. A battle between the light of Nika and the darkness of the Yami Yami no Mi is inevitable at this point. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at how everyone's favorite cherry pie enthusiast will do squaring off against the Straw Hat Captain. We will go over their respective power sets, how the fight could play out, and what might go down afterwards. Let's get to it. Part 1. Stacking up. Following the end of Wano, it is easy to talk up Luffy as his unbeatable powerhouse. Gear 5 was one hell of a reveal, surprising everyone with Luffy gaining the power of a god. This was power the world government had been afraid of for centuries, and it left a strong impression. Our beloved captain came back from death stronger than ever, like some kind of shiny, bouncy messiah. He took down Kaido, the indestructible dragon tyrant who laid waste to every opponent in the series thus far. Luffy seems almighty at this point. Could any force in the series stack up to the awakened Nika fruit? Well, yes. When you get into it, Luffy isn't at some unreachable peak of might, stronger than everyone around him. Sure, he beat Kaido and that was impressive, but Kaido has never been as invulnerable as his reputation suggested. The tyrant of Wano fought Big Mom more than once, got turned away by Shanks during Marineford, and was on the losing side at God Valley. He is strong, even for a Yonko, but not that far beyond his peers. Even Big Mom has shown herself to be just as hard to kill when forced on the defensive. Further, the idea that the Yonko are these untouchable legends in a weight class of their own isn't as true as you might think. The most extended fight we've seen from an emperor other than Kaido would be Whitebeard during the Battle of Marineford. While he was easily the strongest single combatant there, Edward Newgate wasn't this completely invulnerable Superman figure. We saw him fight Admiral Akainu, and the two seemed pretty evenly matched. Neither was able to solidly incapacitate the other, and Akainu's never been shown as that far above his fellows. The Admirals and Yonko seemed pretty evenly matched, and Blackbeard was up there with them even prior to the time skip. Before he took any Devil Fruit, Blackbeard was able to scar Shanks badly. The circumstances of this fight are still unknown, but Shanks is not happy about it. Even over a decade later, Blackbeard remained a concern for him, and that was before events at Marineford. Granted, the early part of that fight isn't Teach's finest moment. He was struggling against an injured Whitebeard, unable to match his pure strength. However, this was more overconfidence than weakness. Teach was going into that fight thinking the Yami Yami no Mi's nullification would be enough to render Whitebeard powerless. But he did not make that mistake again. After claiming his former father figure's Devil Fruit, Blackbeard's strength skyrocketed. We saw Fleet Admiral Sengoku fight against the Gura Gura using Teach as soon as he claimed the ability. This put Blackbeard up against the most powerful Marine in the Navy, and it was an utterly even fight. The Iron Buddha and Blackbeard's clash came to a standstill, neither able to incapacitate the other. And this wasn't Teach's best. This was right after he acquired the new Devil Fruit ability, as he even admits that he was having difficulty controlling it. Blackbeard managed to fight against one of the mightiest men in the One Piece world, with powers he gained minutes ago and broke even. And he has only gotten stronger. After 2 years of training, Teach has gotten the Gura Gura no Mi firmly under control. We have seen him use targeted sequays to break a naval blockade, sending Navy ships flying, while his own sails on unaffected. He has shown that he can command powerful armament haki too, stopping a blow that sliced right through a mountain. If his reinforcement is enough to stop that much force, imagine how hard Teach can punch now. Teach is a physical threat every bit as potent as Kaido by this point. Although that is not to discount Luffy or his progress, it is a mark of how far he has come that our new Joy Boy can probably take on Teach. The Light of Nika is the one force in the setting that really stands a chance against the Yami Yami no Mi's black hole. They are pretty evenly matched. Still, Teach has the edge in their fight. Brand New has given him a bounty almost a full billion above Luffy's, and there is good reason for it. Teach still has room to grow. To the best of our knowledge, neither of his devil fruit abilities have been awakened. If they were, the effects would be extremely worrying. Blackbeard is already on par with Luffy and seems set to grow stronger. If pushed in a dramatic confrontation, we could see a boost to either side of Teach's power set. Also, if he is able to consume a third fruit, he can incorporate even more abilities into his arsenal. And given the 3 skulls Teach has on his Jolly Roger, this seems at least a likely possibility. In contrast to Teach, Luffy's abilities may have plateaued. We have seen no signs of a post-awakening state to devil fruit powers, so this is likely as far as they go. That means he is running out of room to expand his series of gears. He has had Haki training from Rayleigh, but Blackbeard's command of Haki has grown since the time skip. Luffy would likely need Gear 6 to gain a clear advantage over Teach, and there is no sign of that coming. He may be able to experiment with the Nika state, refining his form and doing new things with it. However, that is likely to be closer to the various Gear 4th forms and a new gear. With what we know now, Luffy's past forms may be partial awakenings of his fruit. With the revelation that the Gomu Gomu no Mi was a mythical Zoan fruit, each gear seems less like a unique thing. Instead, they're each a step forward towards the full Nika transformation. We even have an example to compare it to, Chopper. He is also in a version of the Hito Hito no Mi and has a wide variety of forms. If the model Nika works similarly to Chopper's fruit, Gear 5th may be his upper limit, his equivalent to Monster Point. This gives Teach a potential edge. He has more room to push his strength, yet this wouldn't be the first fight where Luffy was the underdog. He has been battling gods, warlords, and legendary pirates at every step of his journey. And most of the time, these people have powers that he does not. Doflamingo, Katakuri, and Kaido have all been titans no one thought Luffy could defeat. A fair fight between him and Teach is going to be too close to call. But Blackbeard isn't going to give Luffy anything close to a fair fight. And before we get into why that is, make sure you've hit the subscribe button, rung the notification bell, and click like for your daily dose of plot armor. Now, on with the video. Part 2, Dirty Deeds Tip the Scales. When we talk about how a battle between two characters might go, there is always a temptation to engage in white room thinking. We want to be fair to both combatants, so you try to rule out other stuff that might affect the fight. You rule out where it's happening, what allies it might bring, and what their objective would be. For a hypothetical fight, you might just picture the two figures in a white room, no extra weapons, and no outside help. As understandably, it is the best way to measure relative power and strength. However, this often leads people to overlook things. In this case, a white room fight between Luffy and Teach is almost impossible. It goes against too much of what we have seen thus far. Blackbeard never fights fair. He will take advantage of a distraction to claim his prize. He will use any trust placed in him to set up a grab for power. Blackbeard's love of scheming and manipulation is a very consistent character point. The last time he was involved in single combat with a Yonko, he ordered his men to intervene when the fight stopped going his way. It is very likely that a battle with Luffy will go pretty similarly. Teach will do everything he can to stack the deck in his favor. If he is taking Luffy seriously as a threat, he may not even try for a one-on-one. Instead, he would attempt to distract the Straw Hat Captain, lead him away from the Sunny, and ambush him. Ideally, Blackbeard would even bring along his commanders. Imagine an ambush by all 10 core members of the Blackbeard crew, plus Teach himself. That matchup will be too much for even Luffy. Thankfully, these Straw Hats are here to keep things balanced. Any fight between the Blackbeard pirates and Luffy's crew is likely to descend into a brawl. It'll prevent Teach from pulling the same trick he did against Whitebeard. And a fight between both crews is going to be very even. Assuming Luffy is able to fulfill his goal from Romance Dawn, he will at some point have 10 crewmen on his ship. Each member of his Nakama will be able to engage one of the 10 Titanic captains. That would just leave Teach and Luffy to duel one-on-one. However, even this line of thinking is a bit too white room. We are just throwing extra characters into the hypothetical fight. We have escalated from Luffy versus Blackbeard to the Straw Hat Pirates versus the Blackbeard Pirates. It is still a brawl without context. We need to look at what is going to lead into this fight within the story. Teach is smart, he picks his moment. He didn't raid Impel Down until the guards escorting Ace away had left. He didn't enter the Summit War until both sides had been worn down fighting each other. Blackbeard's not going to just attack Luffy out of nowhere. He will give himself the best advantage possible, getting as many cheap hits in as he can before the fight starts. Teach knows Luffy wants to become the Pirate King. He will likely plan some kind of ambush for the Straw Hats with that in mind. If he is able to find the last road poneglyph before the Straw Hats, he can transport it to Hachinosu. Luffy and his crew aren't so known for being good at stealth. A fight on Blackbeard's home ground, with all his men right there, is going to give Teach a significant advantage. But the road poneglyphs are hard to find. There is no guarantee Teach can grab the last one before the Straw Hats get it. He may need an alternate way to draw Luffy into a trap. And if you want to manipulate Luffy, there's one other strong approach to take: threatening his friends. Teach was busy during Marineford, but Luffy's actions to save Ace in that fight were far from hidden. When they talked on Dressrosa, he was happy to taunt Luffy over his fallen brother. He taunted Ace and Luffy too. Teach is good at this kind of manipulation. And now he has captured Kobe, the man who ended the fight in Marineford, buying Shanks a few more seconds to arrive. You could argue that Kobe saved Luffy as much as Shanks did. It's easy to tell in that moment how much Luffy meant to the pink-haired Marine. If Blackbeard found out about what happened in Shellstown, he will know that Kobe is another major friendship for Luffy, one that he can turn into a second Ace. Teach orchestrated the Battle of Marineford, handing Ace over to the war government to draw Whitebeard into a fight. He could do something similar here. He could announce Kobe's execution to the world and broadcast it from Hachinosu via Denden Mushi. If he does, the results are very predictable. We've seen how determined Luffy is to protect his friends. He would be sorely tempted to set course for Blackbeard's home island and try to stop it. There is no end to the amount of traps Teach could prepare for a situation like that. He could place landmines in the harbor or fortify the entire island. However, the second option may be the simplest: shoot Kobe the second Luffy shows up. When Ace died, Luffy broke. He was almost defenseless and needed his allies to keep him safe. It makes sense that Teach would try to replicate this to bring Luffy down. Nika is the Joybringer, a smiling sun god who comes with the drums of liberation. Only when Luffy was enjoying the fight was he able to reach that state. Anger or sadness may help keep him from it. If Teach can keep him upset, angry, anything but happy, Luffy is almost certain to lose. But that's far from certain. This is a scenario where Blackbeard is able to dictate all the terms of their fight. Events may not actually let him set up this kind of careful plan. Part 3. Dreams make a man. The differences between Teach and Luffy are easy to highlight. The pair are literally night and day, thanks to their respective devil fruits. But the similarities between them are just as important. Look back to the first scene where they met on Jaya. Teach and Luffy disagree about everything, but how they think and talk is identical. Teach himself seems to pick up on this and starts trying to learn more about Luffy very quickly. He's a little dismissive, but doesn't seem mean-spirited about it. Interestingly, Oda presents a counterpoint to both men here: Bellamy. He sees legends such as the One Piece or Sky Island as relics of a different age. Teach has a negative reaction to seeing Bellamy enter the bar and is positioned as a contrast to him. He steps in after the fight to try and reassure Luffy, Zoro, and Nami. This moment has only gotten more and more bizarre as time has gone on. We know more about Blackbeard now. This isn't some kind of friendly stranger. It is Marshall D. Teach, terrifying villain, the killer of Whitebeard and the leader of the world's most terrifying pirate crew. He is one of the greatest villains in the entire story. And he's giving Luffy a pep talk? Our villain takes the time to encourage our hero to chase his dreams? It's strange. Something about that mattered to him enough to stick around and reassure Luffy. This is where the similarities between our two pirate captains come in. Luffy set out on his journey to become the Pirate King due to the promise he shared with Sabo and Ace. His mysterious dream is what drives him forward. The suggestion here would be that Blackbeard follows a similar path. He too is chasing something important enough to get him to go out to sea. But what could that be? What is Teach's dream? Going off his actions, plunder and power is a pretty easy guess. Blackbeard fits the mold of your classical pirate villain: selfish, greedy, and impatient. He takes what he wants from whoever he wants, not caring about the cost. He will backstab the Whitebeard pirates, the world government, or anyone else. It's easy to view Teach as just out for personal profit. He betrays whoever he needs to in order to get what he wants. He doesn't care about honor or protecting his crew. He will sacrifice even his commanders if it gets him what he wants. He wants it all for himself. However, it is clear Teach has something in mind that goes beyond just immediate power. If he just wanted wealth, respect, and cherry pies, why didn't he stay a warlord? Doflamingo showed us that the system was highly abusable. He was able to set himself up as king of Dressrosa in all but name. He was turning easy profits, living a life of luxury, and overseeing a thriving black market. He had his own commanders backing him up. What was stopping Blackbeard from doing the same thing? Teach chose a much harder path. He raided Impel Down for recruits and invaded Marineford to claim Whitebeard's head. He made the world government his enemy to gain his Titanic captains and the Guru Guru no Mi. And he did the exact same thing before with the Whitebeard pirates. He killed Thatch to claim the Yami Yami no Mi, having served with the crew since he was a kid. Teach made an enemy of the greatest Yonko in order to take the Devil Fruit. At every point, he's put himself in greater danger to acquire more power. Looking back, it's more like Blackbeard is chasing strength to try and accomplish his dream. This would put him on the same path as his rival. Luffy has made it clear that he is looking to become Pirate King in order to make something happen. Whatever he wants to do is so impossible, it would take the power and respect of the Pirate King to achieve it. Teach could have been trying to accomplish his own dream through gaining power in a similar fashion. He went from Warlord to Yonko, acquiring the strongest Devil Fruits and the most fearsome allies. The idea that all of this is just a way to get what he really wants makes sense. But what dream would be driving Teach like this? If he was working on this plan when he first joined the Whitebeard Pirates, he had it in mind since he was a child. We can't know more for sure, but Blackbeard has given us one hint. He dubbed his flagship the Saber of Xebec. Naming your ship after the leader of the Rocks Pirates suggests you want to follow in their footsteps. Rocks was trying to take on the world government and had his eyes on control of the world. Perhaps that is what Teach wants. He could have a dream of ruling the world. Imagine if he plans to raid Mary Joyce and take Imu's spot as the tyrant of the world government. Or perhaps Blackbeard shares Luffy's dream. He's gone about it through harsh, violent means, but just like Luffy, he has been chasing this idea since he was a kid. He and Luffy think very similarly. Either their dreams are opposites, or they are completely identical. Regardless, this is the framework that props up Luffy versus Blackbeard. And it provides us with Blackbeard's weak spot. He would love to pull all the strings like he did at Marineford. He could lead Luffy into a dramatic trap in Hachinosu, having his crew blow the Sunny to pieces or something like that. But beating Luffy isn't Blackbeard's primary goal. It is accomplishing his own mysterious dream. And we know that to do that, Teach needs to become the Pirate King. This forces him to raise the Straw Hats to reach Laugh Tale and claim the One Piece. Even if he could guarantee he would eliminate Luffy, there are other contenders to the Pirate King's throne. Teach has to get the 4 road poneglyphs and make the run to the final island, just like everyone else. This changes everything about what Luffy versus Blackbeard will look like. Teach will try to make it a fight, but the heart of their conflict is quite different. This will come down to a contest between rival adventurers, and this is where the Straw Hats will shine. They have been through trial and error as a team, emerging stronger every time. They are Nakama, a family. The Blackbeard Pirates are skilled, but don't have an ounce of loyalty to one another. In anything other than a direct battle, Teach's team is going to crumble. If the 2 pirate crews race, it will likely end up with Blackbeard alone on a wrecked Saber of Xebec, screaming as the Thousand Sunny blows away off into the distance with a coup de burst. Ultimately, any fight between the 2 pirate crews is going to be a battle of dreams. 2 men who both have hopes for the future, fighting for the world they want to see. And when they're done, Teach's dream is going to lie in tatters. Will this drive Blackbeard to despair? Or will he take his loss with grace? If they share a dream, Luffy becoming the Pirate King might make Blackbeard's defeat a little bittersweet. It wasn't him who accomplished the impossible, but at least he lived to see it done. Regardless, that's where we're leaving Blackbeard versus Luffy. What do you think is going to trigger this confrontation? What do you think Teach's dream could be? Throw out your ideas in the comments down below. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.